Look closely at a highly developed suburban landscape, and you might spot a ghost footprint, a pocket of land whose geometry doesn't match the modern grid. We are looking at Block 77 in Howell Township, located in Monmouth County, New Jersey. This image overlays a 1930s aerial photograph directly onto the modern satellite view. The borders of that wooded area match the historical tree lines perfectly. And this image aligns a hand-drawn property sketch from 1788 with those same coordinates. The exact geometric shape drafted on that parchment is still inscribed onto the earth today. This 30-acre polygon serves as a perfectly preserved artifact of post-revolutionary American settlement, one that allows us to physically map generational survival. Translating an 18th century property survey into modern coordinates is difficult. Early surveyors used temporary landmarks, like a white oak sapling or a pile of stones, which decayed centuries ago. Reconstructing these missing links requires reverse engineering the historical record. We have to stack tax ratables, which are historical local property tax assessments, alongside continuous deed transfers and multi-era topographic maps onto a single geographic coordinate. That rigorous cross-referencing leads us to the Williams family Metedeconk Homestead, a property occupied by a single lineage across 7 generations. We are going to track the exact legal and physical evolution of the specific property. We will trace how it endured systemic financial collapse, catastrophic mortality events, and an eventual restoration. By focusing on this single plot, we expose the precise mechanisms by which early American land transitioned out of the hands of wealthy proprietary elites and into enduring working-class family estates. The legal history of this land begins in the 1760s with William Alexander. Alexander, who claimed the title Lord Stirling, was the Surveyor General for New Jersey and a Major General under George Washington. Alexander died in 1783, heavily in debt. His financial collapse triggered the forced liquidation of his massive real estate holdings to satisfy his creditors. In 1789, John Hardenberg, the sheriff of Somerset, sold the land by execution, which is a legally forced sale to pay off debt, to Elisha Boudinot. Boudinot then sold it to Robert R. Livingston, a founding father who helped draft the Declaration of Independence. This East Jersey proprietary record documents that complex cascade of debts and property transfers. It details the survey conducted for a settler named Daniel Williams on land originating from the Earl of Stirling's estate. The text explicitly tracks the chain of custody, stating the land was conveyed to said Elisha Boudinot by John Hardenberg, sheriff of Somerset, who sold the same by execution against the estate of the said William, Earl of Stirling. A man named Kenneth Hankinson acquired these specific land rights from Livingston. Hankinson then had the tract officially surveyed for Daniel Williams, who was already building a home on the site. This paper trail proves the homestead is authentic Patriot land. We can see the exact moment the property shifted from the bankruptcy proceedings of Revolutionary War generals to the hands of working-class agrarian settlers. Daniel Williams initiated the physical survey of the property, and the records note he was actively constructing a house there even before the paperwork was finalized. This document contains the precise written metes and bounds, the specific boundary lines and limits of the 30-acre tract, drafted by Deputy Surveyor Anthony Dennis on May 22, 1788. Within those measurements, the surveyor noted 2 permanent physical landmarks, a muddy stream called Meary Branch at the northwest corner, and simply a road at the southeast corner. This is the hand-drawn plot of the land from the 1788 survey document. Notice its distinct tilted rectangular shape and the label for Meary Branch curving along its western edge. When we lock these 1788 coordinates onto the modern map, Meary Branch aligns perfectly with the current stream known as Willow Run, and a road aligns exactly with modern-day Route 9. Local tax ratables confirm that the Williams family's improved land increased from 30 to 60 acres by 1794, establishing their active occupation and clearing of the surrounding forest. Even though the original surveyors used archaic measurement chains,
Identifying these geographical anchors allows us to lock a fragile paper document to absolute, immutable modern coordinates. The land then passed from the first Daniel Williams to his son, also named Daniel, who farmed the property until his death in 1832. The next generation, a third Daniel Williams, accelerated the family's momentum. He cleared new ground and constructed a larger home on the property in 1840. But a severe mortality crisis struck the family, beginning with the premature death of that third Daniel in 1843. The crisis reached a climax during the Civil War era of the 1860s. In rapid succession, the family suffered the loss of a brother, Thomas, and 5 of the Williams sisters. The immediate fallout from these deaths displaced the surviving family members from their ancestral plot. The property was transferred to new owners, Ezreal and Mary Reynolds. The homestead was physically altered to serve the broader community. By 1851, the house that Daniel built in 1840 had been converted into the neighborhood district school. The extreme mortality events of the mid-19th century severed the family's physical connection to the land. The geographical footprint was now at severe risk of being overwritten and lost to history. On May 16, 1878, just days shy of the original survey's 90th anniversary, the trajectory of the land shifted again. Henry Williams, officially documented as W.H.H. Williams, purchased back the northern 2/3 of the farm from his wife's parents, the Reynolds family. This modern aerial polygon maps the boundaries defined in that 1878 deed transfer. The software calculates the enclosed area to be exactly 17.77 acres, proving the precise physical dimensions of the buyback. The keeper of this reclaimed legacy was Henry's brother, Daniel David Williams, known to the community as Uncle Dan. Uncle Dan was a Civil War veteran. His surviving portraits ground this era of the family's history in a gritty, undeniable human reality. He lived to be nearly 100 years old, passing away in 1937. His long life served as a physical bridge, carrying the family's memory from the tragic losses of the 1860s directly into the 20th century. The 1878 buyback of those 17.77 acres physically resurrected the family's geographic legacy against impossible odds. Returning to the present day, we have to ask what actually remains on the physical landscape after more than a century of dense commercial development. This satellite panorama shows the property today, alongside the commercial sprawl of Route 9. 3 historical landmarks survive here. On the western edge sits the 1863 farmhouse. Panning east, we find the 1866 Bethel Church and 1873 schoolhouse, proving these civic structures survived. Looking closely, the 1866 Bethel Church is an active monument today, surrounded by the headstones of the very people who founded this community. Looking up the dirt driveway of the 1863 farmhouse, the property maintains a quiet isolation, standing apart from the modern world rushing by. These specific structures serve as temporal anchors. They prove that the data recorded in 18th century archives still casts a tangible physical shadow on the modern world. This highly specific plot of land is the terminus of a massive family migration that dates all the way back to the arrival of John Williams in 1670. The exact boundaries walked by the first Daniel in 1788 and guarded by Uncle Dan through the 1930s remain perfectly intact and verifiable today. Geospatial cross-referencing recovers the physical reality of generational survival, turning the land into an indelible living archive.